Hello everyone again, it's Simon and Mabel. We're just back on to the old railway line between Underbank Reservoir in Stocksbridge and Langsett Reservoir. It was a temporary railway put in place to ease traffic off the Manchester Road A616, and as you can probably hear, we're much closer at this top end. So I've come up with the junction from Midhope, Mid-Hope Stones, and the locals call it Midhope, and I've turned up under the bridge as though I'm going up to Penistone, and then turned on to the old railway line, and we're trotting along up here. It's still lovely, still this old woodland, but you're much closer to farmland now, and there's much more greenery and fields stretching down, and on the other side the trees seem to be predominantly oak, but there's sycamore here as well alongside, and holly, but the oak theme continues, which is grand, one of my favourites. My health slowly improving. I did the second week of the Couch to 21k again yesterday. Ate a little bit too much yesterday. I'm still monitoring my calories. That's Mabel just ate. She's put it down again. Mabel, put it down. Down. Put it down. Come on. Mate. Come on. That's the problem with stopping sometimes. Mate, come on. Yes, I did that. But then I was naughty last night and had a takeaway. So my calorie-wise count yesterday was probably about 2,800 at least, if not 3,000, which is not going to lose me weight. It's going to probably keep me static or even put a little bit on yesterday, and Saturday wasn't great, so I'm back on it today. Well, I was on it all weekend, but it was harder, there was more going off, and I also ran with the app. So I've not eaten yet this morning, which is fine because I had that food late and I've had a cup of tea. So yes, we're back on this track, and it's been recently laid. It was just rough before. I didn't even bother trying to get this far up because I didn't realise it was actually a full old railway line when we first moved around here. But with it being Sunday yesterday as well, I saw quite a few Sunday walkers out. There was more people on it, but it's Monday today and there's nobody on it yet. I've seen nobody, so people are obviously busy. Mabel's doing fine. Ducks and hens in the garden seem absolutely fine. We've got a nice arrangement. Oh, what's this here? There's a little gate here leading down to an area, and that sounds like there's water running through that down there. It's got a padlock on it, so I'm not going to attempt going down there to have a look, but I might do in the future because I'm very nosy and I'd like to know what's running. It sounds like it's water in the bottom there. So whether this is the way some water runs from Langsett Reservoir higher up down to the Underbank Reservoir, it may be. But I could also see the Little Don River just through the trees there. You might be able to catch a glimpse. Or the Porter. It has two names, the Porter or the Little Don, feeding into the main Don River down in Sheffield. And that brings water from the Langsett Reservoir down. Now this area is just outside the boundary of the Peak District National Park, but at the end of this walk it takes you, well, it finishes so far up. I came up here a couple of weeks ago and part of it is still not level like this, and there's a sign, so you have to cut off through the fields and round to Langsett Reservoir. But then as soon as you hit the dam wall at Langsett, you're actually in the Peak Park, so the whole reservoir is in it, and the moors, known as Little America, above it are also in the Peak District National Park, so it's in the far extreme north west corner, it appears. So that interests me because I'm a Peak District lad. So I find that interesting. So I like to feel like I'm close to my ancestral roots, which is a nice feeling. So yeah, there's a big beach here actually. Look at these beach here. Massive. Absolutely huge. Another big one there. All them roots holding up that steep bank. And then there's oak to the left here and beach behind. So this is a lovely little stand of trees here. So lucky to have this on your doorstep. But everybody's got it. You just go out and look for it. Now there's a bracket fungus. They always seem to like dying or dead silver birch. And there's one there. Bracket fungus and maple. Bracket fungus, maple's tail. They are edible, but you need to do all your checks before taking my word for it. This isn't a guide into fungus and mushroom eating, but I know I know what's what with some of these things. So a very steep bank to this side as well, so I guess this was cut out through here, and the railway was only temporary to take the pressure off the road, so it would have been interesting seeing how they constructed it back in the early part of the 20th century. I think the construction was either finished or started in 1907 for these reservoirs up here. So, but they're dotted about all over the Peak District, aren't they? But for the big conurbations of Sheffield and Wakefield and Barnsley, they needed all this water, of course. Mabe's up on the top bank there, and then she just let down like a gazelle. There she goes. So her birthday should be one on, I believe it's the 22nd of June, so the day after the longest day. So she's got a bit of a way to go yet, another just over 6 months until she's one. Now then, this was an area in my mind today. I was wondering whether to cut off up through this wood. So what I'm going to do is just have a little trot up this flat bank here next to these beautiful old beach and have a look at this area. Even if it only goes 100 yards, it's safe, it's flat. I just want to explore it. And there's some lovely old carvings on the tree there talking about love from many years ago by the looks of things. The bark's grown over them nearly. Very nice. And this is a very steep ravine gorge down here. There's the stream in the bottom there, and the old Victorian Edwardian bridge that was built especially to take that underneath. What a feat of engineering. And obviously to take the way to the railway. So that must have cost a little bit of money just to get this railway down here. And now it remains for posterity, for us walkers and bikers. All the beach mast on the floor, of course, up here, so it's always a telltale sign. And how far does this go? Is this going to be another little gem of a walk? At that there. Fantastic. Yeah, that tree there is just holding that bank up. How long that's going to last. Ash tree there. God. Mabe's enjoying this now. Off she goes. She's going for it. Woo! Ears are back. She's loving this. Up we go then, Mabe. I'm just charging up and down these banks. Now then, I keep looking ahead, of course, and it looks like there's a footpath through. Got to be careful with dogs, because obviously then they get very excited. If they just catch your knee as they're going past, knock you off your feet. Oh, she's coming at a great speed, so I'm going to stand still. Loving it. But something's got her very excited. Look at this water down here now flowing. and this will be running down into the Little Don River and filling up Underbank Reservoir. Undergrowth's getting thick up here. Somebody's been up and laid they've laid a piece of wood across with a bridge and then up through the woods that way. Oh, this will be interesting, because there's a fallen tree there, but somebody's put this in to climb up there. Are we going for it? Let's have a look. What's it like? Will Mabel do it though? That's the thing. She's behind me. Grab that tree. And she did it, no bother. She was straight over. Nice and wide actually, that one. So she's gone under there. Look at this up here as well. And I can see that somebody's extended this wood up here, because I can see tree guards round over there. So let's have a look. Right, hey there. They're such silent dogs, these hunting type dogs, that you think you've lost them and then all of a sudden they're at your side. Oh, there's a path there. There's a path over that other side which looks like a cinder track. And some fencing, and what looks like the top of a reservoir here. So let's get back down to that path. I think we can get up here. Yeah, climbs up here. Let's have a look. This would be nice to have a selfie stick. Yeah, there must be another reservoir up here, and I see a house. We've actually climbed up to an old farm here, and I see something like somebody's got like a glamping barn at the back. Gosh, didn't know any of this was here. So I'll be on Google Earth when I get in and have a nosy what this is here. What am I? Maybe's got a cute ear back again. So these are more like deer tracks than human tracks, these. Oh, I like this walk. This has become my new favourite. And this is proper country for spotting deer. Getting on the subject of large fauna, being the Latin name for animals. Talking about wild boar and where are they? I know they were completely wiped out in Britain until not that long ago, and then the wild boar meat became farmable, and then of course I believe animal rights activists and just the fact that pigs and boar are very good escape artists, they managed to get out and breed, and for the last 30-40 years they've been breeding all over in woodland areas, but they're very elusive creatures. Not nocturnal as such, I don't believe, but very, very difficult to spot. But it's great that they're out there. Where's this taking us? very much liking this, but I'm aware that I've got a few things to do, and this doesn't seem to be a well-trodden path up here, but the water in the bottom continues straight down. So what do? I'm suggesting today we take a detour and go back, and I'll discover this part higher up another day. I think this is one for me and Betsy as well up here. Lots of silver birch up here, and oak again, and then a few sycamore dotted in between. I'm sure there'll be willow down there, and larch, that like the feet wet, the roots wet. So is that an obvious sort of trodden path? See, I can't help it then. Once I start finding a route, it's difficult to leave it alone. It looks like people have followed the route up here, doesn't it? Up the top. People always want to follow water, don't they? But this is just lovely, this. Let's work his way back down then. But we discovered a little gem here. Careful, Mabel, be careful. There's a hole here. That's just a natural sinkhole. Oh, there's some evidence of quarrying up here. Just go back onto this path. You can tell has had feet on it recently, including mine. Lace is undone. Come on then, mate. So I used to have a black Labrador called Scooby, believe it or not. My children named him, and he was great. He was my first proper dog, our first family dog. But when he got to about 12, unfortunately I was on my own by that stage. So I had him, was having to do long 12-hour shifts as a nurse, and unfortunately I ended up rehousing him. But I found a lovely family for him. They got young children, they were family friendly, they got cats, dogs, cats and rabbits, which Scooby was used to, and they were just nice. They had one parent at home, one was at work, and I could tell I'd done the right thing because I just wasn't giving him the time that he deserved in his later years. But it took me 2 or 3 years to really let him go. The selfish side of me wanted to keep him for company. I think he barked about 5 times I ever heard him bark in his whole life. He was extremely quiet, relaxed dog, very athletic. We got him from a shooting estate over Glossop in the High Peak District, on the edge of the Peak District National Park, and he was a proper working dog, or from that stock, but he was a family pet obviously with us. I just loved him to bits, and now I feel exactly the same way about Mabel. So it's just grand. Well, the lace has gone. Just a minute. She comes diving through. Come on then, mate. Let's see if you can go ahead then down to the bridge, or is she just going to leap, or is she going to follow me across? What's she going to do? Oh, she's done it. This is quite a chunk of wood as well that somebody's decided they're going to bring down here. Very steep and very muddy. I think for Betsy. quite nervous, but you've got the confidence bets. Oh, there's gnats. There always is. Here, there's a little bunch of gnats there. Oh, then. Is it down or around? Oh, it's up. Up here. Come on then. Is it? Did we come this way? No, we didn't. This way, Mabel. Just following the edge of the stream. Let's pause it a sec. So her confidence now is just coming on. She's just been down there, had a right sniff around, come back up the bank. Even though she's not a fan of water, that's not scaring her. But because her blood's up as well and she's hunting and sniffing, that confidence is there in her. And actually brings out confidence in me, transfers to me. There's that energy from it, which I'm actually getting something from. Fires you up, makes you feel good. So I had a bad start to the day this morning, which we all do sometimes. It's just how I felt in my head. I felt lifeless. My body felt okay, no pain. But then this has really helped. She's chewing again on stuff. Come on then. This really helps. And Mabel helps. So I know, well, it's well known, isn't it, that pets really help people's health, physical and mental health, spiritual health, because you're sharing your life with another sentient being, another animal that can feel and think on whatever level. And I know the big popular one during lockdown and before were the little French bulldogs. My sister bought one, and she's lovely, little Hazel. They're good, they don't need an awful lot of exercise. They're overly loud, I believe. Apparently they're very good to have in flats. For people who live in flats, a lot more city dwellers now, of course. And they're very good companions and very loyal. And become very popular. But there are many dog breeds, of course. So if you're watching this and you're interested in dogs and thinking about one, just have a good look around and take your time. Certainly don't rush into things. So we're heading off back down towards Stocksbridge and the Underbank Reservoir on the old railway line course. I'm just thinking about transport, another interesting environmental topic, big one, massive one. You know, big lorries shooting past me here, coming over from Manchester, dropping down towards Sheffield and Leeds, cutting down to the M1. We're always going to need freight. All our infrastructure is based on transport and movement, of course, and that's how we survive. And when that starts to break down, of course, we all know about it very quickly. So what is the future? The future's going to be electric by the looks of things, isn't it, at the moment? And we're going down that route. Amazon supposedly moving towards all electric vehicles, but at the moment they're fossil burning vans that they're using. So be aware that everything's related, of course. Let's all be aware, please, because if you order something just for simplicity, when you could have perhaps picked it up at a local store on one of your shopping trips, and try and do that if you can. Well, that's what I try and do, telling other people what to do, of course, but that's what I try to do. And of course, there's so many products out there now that you can just at a click choose. On they come. Yes, and it is work for people. It's important work. Deliveries, keeping the country supplied. But we also, as individuals, have a responsibility, I strongly believe, a moral responsibility as well, to choose ethically if we can, and environmentally so. It's all part of our makeup, all part of what we need to somehow affect change. And then change and control, or the illusion of control, I always found in life can be quite healthy because it keeps you moving forward. Not always at times. I think your brain can get full of too much information overload. But I think we all need that, even if we know deep inside that perhaps we don't have as much control as we like to think we have. We do exercise. We do exercise control and ability to affect change, sometimes more than we actually realise. Well then, mate. So down this bottom end there's a couple of little horse paddocks just below the house and farm above, so that all ties in with what is there. Nothing in them at the moment, of course, the grass has been left to grow. Over the other side, going back this way, you've got the farms leading from Middup Stones or Middup up to Upper Middup, which is even older apparently. There's some very old buildings up there, and Middup Hall. The chapel at Middup is beautiful. Just put an old carrot in the tree there. Is that ready for somebody to eat on another journey past? Who knows? Look at that bark on the oak and the moss. So moss usually grows on the colder sides, I believe, and you can get a rough idea of which way south is from the sun, because moss doesn't like the sun, it likes the damp and the shade. So we're looking at this, and that ties in with my idea roughly of where south might be, this side of the tree. Still got the lichen on there, and that's the more lichen there is around, the more that the air is very fresh, not polluted, because it really doesn't like polluted air, lichen. And then the moss starts to creep in around the side of the tree. Come on then, big dog. So the wind's just increased down this bottom end into some spots. So I've got my hat back on. Ooh, hello! So we're back along the trail. Where's she going? She's here. And it's always that little changes that you can get as you move along, which you see when you're in a vehicle. Obviously as it starts raining you see it on the car, you don't feel it though. I've just felt the drop in temperature there of at least 2 degrees in the space of 100 yards. So that must be that breeze coming in, and obviously a small rain shower as well. But we're under the trees. You see we get this as well. I just talk about things that are going along, but people putting little yellow ribbons around in this area. That's a big thing in the South Yorkshire, especially Sheffield, a big campaign not to cut things down. So people keeping them in their pockets. And when they see construction, they put a yellow ribbon around to say, in their opinion, this doesn't need taking down, leave it alone. Because all these railings here at Middup have been put in the last few months. So they will have had to take 1 or 2 trees down. I noticed one further down that's got a blue mark on it. Somebody tied a yellow ribbon round. So this is Middup down here. This is the old bridge. It's going down to the A616 and across to Middup. So the sign's up to the right, Huddersfield, Holmfirth, A616, then you cut off to Manchester, A628. To the left, the M1, Sheffield, Stocksbridge, A616. Penistons up this way, 2.5 miles away, beautiful little town, market town. Up here, and then Middip is up the hill across. So this is the crossroads. Very busy crossroads. Very busy. A lot of traffic on the A616. And these walks that I'm doing, I want to immerse myself in everything that's there, because you can live in an area. You see what I mean? This one was the blue, right in, and there was a yellow ribbon on it. It's been either torn off or it's fallen out. They've left that alone. It doesn't look like they're going to do anything with it, whether it is diseased. I'm not a tree expert. Yeah, I like to immerse myself in everything to do with the landscape, including the buildings, the infrastructure. I find it's cathartic. You work out how other people think, how things work. And as much as I'm not a fan of cities, I really am not a fan of cities. I know they're a necessity with modern populations, and they're going to be for many years to come. Although, talking of population, I just heard recently with in more westernised countries or more affluent countries, less children that people are having, so populations in those countries are starting to stabilise and possibly even go down, with people's life expectancy actually lowering slightly as compared to 10 years ago. So this is the census and population studies that the British government are doing. I see somebody behind us with a dog, but they're well back, look like they've got a young greyhound, so I'll keep her off. You see these railings here are being put up just to stop people falling over that edge into that ground, and the old railway sleepers that would have held the lines for the temporary railway between Underbank Reservoir and Langsett. Apparently up at Langsett, I've just read on one of the information boards that there is an old tithe barn up there, which would have been a barn. Mabel's chasing a squirrel. God, she's right going after it. Mabel! The squirrel will be up the tree and she'll have lost it, so... Mabel! She's there waiting. So she can find it. Mabel, come on! Come on! She's gone sniffing for it, so she's really on the hunt. And this is the trickiness. She'll never catch a squirrel, I doubt it, unless it's really poorly. Here she comes. Good girl. Come on. Come on. Come on. I lost my thread with the population talk, but yeah, basically they're coming down. They're starting to stabilise, which is a sign, and it's been used as a positive sign that, you know, people don't necessarily have to, with the better educational opportunities for women and more rights for women. It means that we're not being forced to have children, or as many children, or as early, or even any children. Some people just don't want them. And that's a big issue for the survival of our planet, is the number of us Homo sapiens wandering about. Mabel! Now she's gone down a steep bank here. And she's starting to get very, very confident on her hunts. Babe! Come on. Come on now. Come on. Mabel. Mabel! Mabel. Mabel. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. Come on you go. That's done her good. But she was going down towards the road, but I'm not overly concerned because there's quite a large 5-foot wall down there. She'd get over it, but I don't think there was a big worry with that. Yeah. So hopefully with populations we can, all these measures we're putting in place around women's rights and changing of laws means that our natural desire to have children isn't stopped, and it'll never be stopped, but it's slowed. But that's balanced out with improvements in healthcare and midwifery, of course, and obstetrics, so more babies are surviving, and parents are having them later as well, some parents. So we do still have a big issue with population, and it can't be understated. Come on, come on, come on, good girl, good girl, Mabel. She's got thirsty now. Excuse me. So just going back to the grey squirrel issue as well, talking about fauna earlier on. Not a native species, lovely looking creature. Mabel! She's getting a bit confident now, so Mabel! Just don't want her down the other side, we're getting a little bit closer to the road. Mabel, come on. She really is full of beans. Yeah, squirrels as an example, grey squirrels, non-native species, crayfish, American crayfish, damaging the waterways, bringing in disease, but also balancing out and bringing in prey for larger predators, squirrels, crayfish, things will eat them, but crayfish have done exceptionally well in UK waters, to the detriment of all other life, sometimes in a stream or a pool. And these things aren't going away anytime soon, so we're going to have policies in place at certain areas, and I know there are them, to keep these numbers down. But and also, if we want red squirrels back in our woodlands, providing that balance. One recent thing I saw, Chris Packerman on the Country File and Winter Watch, Spring Watch type programmes, was around the spread of pine martins as well. So where there are pine martins, they predate on and kill grey squirrels more than they do red squirrels, because they've evolved together with red squirrels, pine martins, in Europe, and the greys haven't. The greys seem to be easier prey for them. So pine martins may benefit from this spread, but they're quite elusive creatures, pine martins. But let's hope that we start to get a much more balance back in our nature, our natural areas. But we can't just hope, we can act, and we can lobby, and we can talk to people, and we can educate, and then we can thrill at the wonder of what's around us. Massive big beech tree there, look at that one. Fantastic. So now we can see Underbank Reservoir through the trees, and we're much closer to the road down this top end. You get a much better view, and as I mentioned earlier on, it's full now, it's starting to overflow. That overflow system that's in place should be there for many, many years to come. Sort of a deep ravine over here with another stream feeding the reservoir, and that is a deep one, that beach. Lots of beach around on the bank. And we're just coming down now, and there is a walk on the edge of that wood there, so actually that ties in with that walk up in the woods, the sheep house woods. So to go up through there, so that's another entrance up through. Oh no, that's the entrance I've been taking. I thought, yeah, I'm mistaken. I thought that was a new entrance. It isn't, that's the one I've been taking recently. I was hoping there might have been something a little bit further down. So back to the old beach that's been topped. Is it completely dead? That's all the deadwood lying about. It looks it. Can't see any greenery on it whatsoever. No signs that it's coming back. That's been topped and left for safety. But all the deadwood's been left about for hedgehogs. But let's not forget all those things that those things eat, all those little bugs that we need. And this is the best, this leaf litter is the best for them. Woodland edge is fantastic. So any edge of an environment that edges into another environment is supposed to be very good for numbers and biodiversity, numbers of creatures living in that area on the edge of one environment into another. So woodland into grassland can be another good one. Seashore into sea can be very good. Moorland into bogland can be very, very good. But they're all good. They're all grand. Another thing we've got locally as well is eggs. Ducks and eggs, and of course without the sunlight, unless you give them artificial light in the pens at night, which is a little bit cruel, they don't continue to lay, because things need to sleep and rest. So but we do have farms near us within walking distance, and they have honesty boxes outside. What have you seen, mate? Honesty boxes outside. £1 for half a dozen eggs, so, and then there's duck eggs as well, so we can supplement our diet with local fresh eggs. That's really nice. And then just locally, in the local paper that came through the door, Betsy saw a village hall in Bradfield, just into the Peak Park, about 15 minutes drive from us. And Saturday night we went out on a date night and watched the new James Bond film in the village hall, which was lovely. So it's out on DVD. We didn't have to pay, it was just donations they were looking for, and we gave quite a nice donation towards the village hall. There was a licensed bar and teas and coffees and things. There was an interval halfway through the film, and then they had a raffle, and we'd got 2 raffle tickets, and ours was the first one out, so we got some groats. It was a piece of paper with an old groat on, which was worth £1, so we got £4 back. So it was really nice. So the next one is in a month's time, and it's June. So in the middle of, no, early February, June, the new film will be out. So we'll continue to support that, because we like things like that. We like local, we like community, and even though we didn't know any of these people, I'm sure if we keep going we'll get to know them. With the local rugby union at Workley Rugby Club, my stepson D'Angelo, he plays for them, so we travel around. So over the last year they've made us very welcome. Rugby clubs always do. It's a good social event for the parents, great for the kids, and then obviously we've met people as well who also play rugby league, and they've invited us to play rugby league as well. So we're going to extend our social connections there, which is a commitment. It's a big weekend commitment, but in terms of the health of D'Angelo and our health, I think it's a good commitment that we can manage and make. And of course all of these organisations are run off volunteers, and they're always looking for volunteers. So something I've done with my children, I did the Scottish Rugby Union junior coaching course for rugby, and I was a volunteer there, so I've done that for a few years. What you heard, Maeve? She's heard somebody walk in, chatting down the bottom there. Oh yeah, that's one of our neighbours. He's in a wheelchair with his dogs and his friend. He's popping through. People often go right round Underbank Reservoir, down the side of the road, and then up and round. So yeah, that's our little social life. Fits in nicely for us, and it means that we're out meeting people, we've got a routine, it's healthy. If it becomes unhealthy for whatever reason, then it's not something we can do or we can change if we need to do. That's all good. And then the other thing that has been consuming me a little bit over recent years is buying some land. But I'll talk about that in a moment. I'm going to put Mabel on the road because we're getting down towards the end of the track where it comes down to the road. So yeah, we're back over the other side now, back right next down to the reservoir. Had a nice little gap in the traffic there. Yeah, buying of land. I mentioned on previous videos that I've attempted many times to buy land in Britain. It's extremely expensive, forestry, etc. So the other option, a lot of foreigners from all over Europe and all over the world looking to buy land in cheap countries now to retire onto or to actually live on. One of the big areas I've been looking at is Portugal. It's cheap out there. It's got more expensive. It depends where you go. Down in the Algarve, you generally can't live on your land unless you get planning permission. Whereas up north and out in the Castilla-Branco region, Blanco, there's YouTubers and people out there who are living on there, and you can sell the land, but you have to check with your local council, and you need a decent lawyer, Portuguese speaking obviously. You really need to be speaking Portuguese if you're going to be spending much time out there, of course. He's left a scarf there, still there I think, for a few days. And but the abilities to live in non-movable structures, so yurts. One couple I know from Holland who I follow, they live in a yurt. There are other people that seem to have got planning permission in similar areas to do up barns to live in, and then some people living in caravans and motorhomes on their own land. And there's a number of, probably half a dozen YouTubers that I follow regularly, keep an eye on what they're doing. So for an acre of land in those sort of central regions, well away from the coast, you can be looking for you're looking at about between 4,000 and 8,000 euros. The more expensive being flatter, of course, better agricultural, less scrub trees, and a well. So if you've got a water supply, you usually pay more money, of course. Because one of the issues with climate change, and it's been in southern Spain, another area that we've looked at, is the lack of water supply. So there's areas around southern Spain which I've read of recently that have been used by the Spanish for years as market garden area for their, like Kent is for England. And maybe there we go. Hey mate, okay. Come on mate. Yeah. But of course with climate change there's less rain, so they've been extracting water from the rivers more and more, which has left the rivers bone dry. And it's affected all the ecosystem. So that's going to be a big issue. So as much as people will sell off the land there, they're not bothered if you can't do anything on it. So some of this land is probably going to, in the future, going to be more difficult to farm. It's probably going to be for people to put a caravan on and just live on, but then you have to have money then to go and get your own water, to go and dig a borehole, and boreholes are no guarantee, they're very expensive, of hitting groundwater sources. So then you need, and sun's never going to be a big factor, is it, in Spain, I'm pretty sure. So the solar systems are going to be fine. There's no wind, is there, hardly, unless you're up in the mountains. So wind is big in Britain, but solar isn't particularly. But out there it's vice versa, isn't it? So yeah, that's something I've been talking about with Betsy for a couple of years now. And the other option, if that doesn't happen, is to get a eco-friendly camper van. And the hashtag van life now has become all the rage, especially for the younger generations. And my daughter and her partner I mentioned on some of the other videos are doing it. We're converting a van to be really eco-friendly. It's still diesel, but they're hoping in the future they might be able to convert it to be electric. No, sorry, it's petrol, but they're still wanting the conversion to electric. Solar panels, reusing wood to mud system, composting toilet. Back down to Underbank Reservoir. So that would be another option if I don't go for the land option. And then just visit lots of lovely areas as we get more towards retirement in the next few years. It's cool, it's spotted on here now, it always is on here. Well, it was lovely yesterday. And then pensions, which are a subject in their own, aren't they? But of course that all ties into what you can do with your life in the future. Stocksbridge. People traditionally don't really even look at the pensions. They pay into them because you have to now, but don't really look at it till they get into the 50s. And even then, some people don't take a great interest. They just keep working while they can and earning, and hoping that the health and everything will last them until nothing runs out. But it's become a factor for me because of my health and certain jobs which I can and can't do, which I never thought I'd have to tell myself, but that's become the reality. So I'm adjusting my life now to try and fit in with that. And then obviously looking at my pensions and seeing what I can do. I had a bit of a blow recently because I thought my National Health Service nursing pension would possibly be a little bit easily more accessible than it actually is. And at 53 you have to have quite bad health problems to be able to get it early. But I can get it in a year and a half's time roughly at 55 and claim it then. But I only had 11 years in that pension scheme, so the rest of the time has been private pensions, no private pension with some of the agencies I worked for because I wasn't paying into one, and then obviously the state pension. But now for people of my age, they've said 67, but they may actually bring that down in the future to 66 dependent on life expectancy. So it does vary. Longer people live in, all those statistics that the UK government are calculating will depend on when they pay out the pension, to make sure it lasts for everybody. So then people have to make their own provision, which brings you back to the self-sufficiency thing, doesn't it, of managing and being able to cope. Come off. So the reservoir at this far end here is, you can hear it now. In fact, we'll go and just have a look. So this is the first time in a year, roughly, that this has been flowing down. You can see the step system down into the Little Don River at the bottom. But the river is always fed somehow. I'm still trying to work out how it is fed, so it runs continuously at the bottom there, even when that overflow system isn't running. Because if that reservoir is below this level as it is now, then it doesn't tip over this step system, but it also flows underground. There is a system, there's an amount of water that does flow underground through to keep the river at the bottom to a reasonable level. But I'm still trying to find out by asking local people just exactly how that works. Somebody feeding the birds at the bottom down here, the seagulls and things. Maybe